Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Janani Afifah.
And my name is Marya.
So our topic for our persuasive speech is why do we agree that drug addicts should be sent to rehabilitation center or hospitals rather than going into prison?
Drug addicts are not criminals. If they commit crimes, it's usually a direct result of the addiction and not just criminal behavior. The addiction to drugs is a difficult thing for any individual to deal with. Often, addiction leads to the decline of a person's well-being, financial security, and health. Drug addicts have a hard time keeping with a job. Their families suffer the consequences, and sometimes the addicts find themselves either in trouble with the law or homeless on the street. The issue of treating drug abusers has been discussed in great detail in our country for decades. There are those that say we should buckle down on drug users and increase our illegal drug enforcement in order to put all those drug using criminals behind bars. However, those that just want to lock up every drug addict are ignoring the fact that drug addiction is a sickness, and without proper treatment, the user will find themselves back on the streets using drugs once they are out of jail. The idea of treatment versus jail is one that has come up numerous times in the last few months as our country struggles with the best way to get drug addicts back on their feet again. Other states and countries are looking for other options. Also, in Australia, where 70 to 80% of prisoners are incarcerated because of drug problems, community-based treatment centers are now being offered to those that have served time because of drug-related crimes. New York has recently relaxed laws that date back to the 1970s in order to allow judges to send addict law breakers to treatment programs rather than to jail. Texas is taking a hard look at what they can do to help those with drug addiction that have found themselves chronically homeless or caught in the cycle of going to jail for drug possession, then back to being homeless and doing drugs and so on. One of their answers is to solve the housing problem and then get these people into drug treatment rather than send them straight to jail.
So why we agree that drug addicts should be sent to rehabilitation center rather than prison? Because treating the prisoners is actually very beneficial, because overall it would save the state's money to focus on fixing the underlying problem of drug addiction rather than to try to manage drug addicts with jail time. If you look at the cost for the court system, law enforcement, jail time, and emergency health care and shelter, for those that go right back to drug abuse, once they are out of jail, the cost of simply putting a drug addict in jail really adds up. The next one is that, on the other hand, if a drug addict is sent to a treatment facility where they can get the help they needed to overcome a drug addiction, then the individual stands a chance to get back out into the world and contribute a positive way to society. Prisons are for punishment and not rehabilitation. In New York, estimation, sending those convicted of non-violent drug crimes to treatment rather than jail will save the state $250 million in a year. Financially, in the long run and for the benefit of the addict, it seems addiction treatment is good rather than putting them in the jail. Prisons have neither the money or resources or systems in place to treat the drug addiction. This is because overcrowding in prisons is a growing problem for example, in the United States, there are 330,000 prisoners in the United States and are doing time for drug offences. If prisoners with drug addiction were moved to somewhere else, like hospitals or rehabilitation center, then the overcrowding problem will be solved. Okay, well, one thing is that in hospital they can get properly treated and detoxicated from any drugs that are in their system. In in jail, they will not get any type of treatments. Just to add on, according to National Institute of Drugs, just 1/5 of inmates get some from the treatment. So this is really bad. Hospitals are set up to deal with the physical, mental, and medical needs for an addict. They can give immediate care and treatment for the problem instead of having person sitting around in a jail cell doing nothing. Okay, so the last one, why we agree that drug addicts should be sent to rehabilitation center or hospitals rather than going to prison is because without rehab, they will end up back in prison very quickly. This is because when they come out from the jail, then they could go back to their past, like taking drugs again, and then they could go back to prison again. So this is really bad. So the NIDA report released last year cited a remarkable statistics. Heroin addicts who received no treatment in jail were 7 times as likely as treated inmates to become re-addicted, and 3 times as likely to end up in prison again. So addiction is a mental illness. Addiction changes the brain and disturbing the normal hierarchy of needs and desires. Therefore, drug addicts is a mental illness. So, in conclusion, addiction is a mental illness, not a crime.